We are back live here on iHeartRadio and also AMFM247.com. We have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here on a broadcast. And so you have a very interesting brand, modeling, YouTube, blogging, all these things. So you've worked with a reality program, Hustle and Flow. Tell us about that.
Everyone says Hustle and Flow. It's so funny. It's Hustle and Soul. Hustle and Flow was the movie.
I know, it was the movie where they put the egg cartons on the on the wall. They made their own recording studio. That was Hustle and Flow. When I see this in press releases, I'm like, really? I remember that movie. I don't think you were in it. So
everybody says Hustle and Flow, and it's Hustle and Soul. It's so funny. So Hustle and Soul was a show centered around an African-American business owner, and he was based in Brooklyn. So our job as the staff was to show people what it takes to have a Black-owned restaurant in Brooklyn, New York, near the Barclays Center, which is a huge tourist location. And it was, of course, full of drama, full of relationship issues, full of just everything that reality TV shows consist of. That's what the show was about. My character, I was the sane one. I was the sane one. I was the calm one, and I was the voice of reason. So they called me because I would ask people what I feel like a normal sane person would ask these people in scene, and I will always hear behind the scenes that I always say what people are thinking. And so I pride myself in being able to get through the show, but I had to leave after the second season because it was just getting a little bit too crazy for me.
We have got a great guest with us today. She joins us today here on our program, and you can find our guest today on Twitter, SANAKIBZ, and you're a TV personality, you're an influencer. Talk to me a little bit about the 107.5 WBLS hosting duties that you do.
Yes, so 107.5 WBLS is one of the top urban stations for African Americans in New York City, but also in America. It's been around for over 45 years. And so my show is Afro Flavor Radio, and it's the first African-themed music show that is on radio in New York City. So all of the songs that we play and all of the people that we interview are African music artists. And so we want to highlight the fact that Afro beats, what they deem it in America, this genre is here to stay. It's not just a genre that's like, you know, we're going to have 1 or 2 years and it's going to disappear. It's actually going to be a genre that's going to be here to stay. They're actually even comparing it to how hip hop started. So it's going to be really interesting to see what happens with this platform. But yeah, we've launched a year ago, and we air every Friday night at 11 p.m. with myself and my co-host.
So how did you end up in that spot? Because that's a pretty incredible spot to be in.
Yeah, so honestly, I mean, I don't know how you are with faith, or if this is even the platform to do so, but I believe God puts you where he wants you.
Yep.
So ironically, I didn't go to school for radio. However, there was a moment, a summer, where I really needed to find a job. And so I went to the local college and I became the assistant for the radio station at the college. And so I really learned while being there the hands-on process of getting guests, the bookings, how to like the type of layout you have to have for different radio shows, just being very observant. But I never would have thought in a million years that a full circle moment would come back where I would be approached to do this type of show. So my co-host, DJ John Quick, is actually a DJ for the radio station. Yep. He approached me with this concept saying, hey, you're Nigerian. I play all types of Afro beats at my parties. I have this connection to this radio station. I would love for you to come in and see if you'd be a great co-host for the show I'm trying to put together. I was like, you know what? I've never done radio professionally, but I love this topic. It is a part of my culture, and I know how to speak. So let's just go there and see what happens. So I went there, I did 2 demos, they loved me, and then I became the co-host.
Well, I will have to say that you are very well spoken.
Thank you.
That is a skill to have, because there's a lot of folks that do not have that skill. A lot of them have been on this program. A lot of them have co-hosted this program. But we have got a great guest with us today. She joins us live here in our broadcast. And you mentioned, hair and makeup during a pandemic is right before we got on the air is a chore.
Yes.
Take us through why that is such a chore.
Because let me tell you, it takes 21 days to develop a habit. And when you stop doing something and you have to start it up again,
Yes.
it's going to feel like exercise. Because we have gotten into a point where we're like 4 months into this pandemic. We're not going anywhere. I mean, some people are risking their lives, but most people aren't going anywhere. So to go ahead and bring out all of your makeup products and start painting your face into this canvas that you've stopped doing for 3 months feels like, is this how to, oh my gosh, I just want to get over it. It just seems like a chore now. And plus, putting on makeup now I've come to the conclusion that I feel better with nothing on. However, I know that for the profession and the forward facing that I have to do for the world, I have to put on makeup. But doing it now feels like a chore. Doing hair now feels like a chore. I just want to relax in my PJs like I've been doing for 3 months, and then everyone's okay with it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, you mentioned, modeling and how you got into the whole modeling. Once you got recruited and was sent to this this conference or whatever, this hotel for everything, take us through that process.
Okay, so me and my mother and my cousins, because once they found out about this, my aunt said, take them too. So me and my cousins and my mom, we went to the hotel, and they had the conference center of the hotel. And so we go inside the hotel. There's like a registration table. We register ourselves. They ask who referred us. We tell them the person's name. And then we go inside of this conference room where it's just nothing but, it's like a small little stage at the top, and then just rows of seats on the floor. And so you sit down, and then they start saying, row 1, 2, 3, line up on the side and go meet every judge. So there's like 3 judges in the front. And so we basically, like, because we come a little late, we're all the way in the back. So we have to wait through this whole entire process. But we get to the front, and the first judge looks at me, asks me my name, talks to me for a little bit to make sure like I understand what they're saying. And then they're like, and they give me something. They don't say yes or no. They just hand me something. And then I go to the next person, and then I go sit back down. And then when everyone's done, they say, thank you so much for coming today. If we gave you a white square paper, please stay. If you did not receive a white square paper, you're free to go. Thank you so much. We'll be having more opportunities later. And so to see all the people rise that didn't have it, my heart broke because I had one, but I know that feeling of like, they didn't choose me. So we see it all the time with American Idol.
Yes.
When they don't get the golden pass.
Yes.
So that's my story. And then from then I had to go through Barbizon modeling school training because I really didn't know how to walk in heels. I didn't know I was so young. And then from that moment on, I got signed to an agency.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. We have got a great guest with us today. Sana joins us here in our broadcast, and she is phenomenal. By the way, your Skype background is pretty damn awesome.
Thank you. It's actually
I
wallpaper from Michael's.
Because I've had all sorts of people on this show during this pandemic that they've got these libraries full of books that they've never read, and so it's good to have someone like you who has a creative background. Or my favorite are the Skype people who blur out their background. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What am I gonna see back there?
The fake live background thing where they're in the ocean. I'm like,
that too. The green screen stuff is fun.
Yeah, I'm just like, let me just throw some wallpaper from Michael's and call it a day.
We had a guy on the other day. He was a tax expert, and he was in a suit, had a green screen, looked like he was coming from Fox News Channel. I'm like, you do know this is not that fancy.
Relax, my guy.
So radio, and then you do some TV stuff. Which is easier, the TV stuff or the radio stuff?
The radio stuff is easier because you can literally you could throw on some pajamas and go to the radio station and knock it out and be just fine. But if you have to do TV, you have to do the glam, you have to get there hours early so you can get ready, you have to do all that type of stuff. There has to be tons of people to make sure the lighting, the camera, the action. Where in radio, it's like me, you, and the producer.
Yes.
And then we're all set to go. So I believe that radio is easier, but I enjoy being on TV more because it makes me have to, like, in a way, not perform in a way that I'm being fake, but perform in a way that I'm like how an actor would get ready to perform or how a singer would get ready to perform. That being on TV and knowing that you're going to be visually seen makes you more like, okay, I'm going to make sure my hands are this way, make sure that I'm not, looking off to the side. Like it just makes you like be in it. So I enjoy that part of it.
That's fantastic. Now, what do you make of social media in the fact that we pretty much use social media for everything now? It used to be just what people were eating, and now we're using it for social messages. We're using it for, like we're doing today, interviews. Is social media just insane, or is that just the new normal?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that it's a positive thing because it brings people together. Like, let's be very honest. There's people that I went to elementary school with that I would have never known what they were doing with their lives if there weren't social media. Sometimes I'm like, why are you still following me? But then there are other people that like I was cool with. I'm like, wow, like you have a baby now. But I know that there was no social media. She would have been out of my memory. I would have never known that she had 2 kids by now. So I think that element of communication, I also believe that it gives people the platform that they necessarily wouldn't have. Because now you can, if you're a singer, you can go make a YouTube video. If you're a dancer, you can go make a TikTok. If you're a great writer, you can go on Twitter and start writing your essays and start writing your stories. If you're a great photo taker, you can get on Instagram and thrive. Like it allows people who necessarily wouldn't have that opportunity to get in front of the right people to now have their own storefront. So I believe that social media is the new normal in the way that it's allowed people to understand that there's levels to this. And if you do it right, you can prosper. But then the negative side of social media is the validation. It's the self-esteem issues. It's the envy. It's the kids who are having anxiety much younger because they're looking at their 13-year-old friend that's chilling with Cardi B or their 13-year-old friend. Like there's craziness that you sometimes see. That you're like, how do you even know this person? But it gives people anxiety and it makes younger kids, like I feel for the younger kids when it comes to social media because I have the best of both worlds. I know this world without social media and I know this world with social media. So I know the balance of it. Whereas the younger youth generation, they have an iPad at 5 years old. They're on YouTube with their own passwords at 2.
Yes.
And so all they know is this.
Insane.
So as they get older, they're engulfed in this social media and I feel like they are so laser focused on other people's lives that they don't give themselves the time to understand that things take time and stop putting pressures on yourself and self-esteem. I'm going to wrap this up. I knew that social media was changing the world when the prom girls started looking like Grammy nominated art.
Yes.
That's when I was like, this is not how I went to prom. I went to prom like a little Bo Peep princess. You're going to prom, you can compete with the J-Lo. It was just, it's crazy. It's crazy.
See, this is the thing. I, like you mentioned earlier, how you ended up in modeling as you were discovered just in a mall somewhere. Mm-hmm. I remember when, I've seen these commercials where these people are like, well, do you not know what to post on social media? And all these different things. And I'm like, way back in the day, I didn't care what I was going to post on social media.
Yeah. Now it's like, Are you posting at the best times? Are you using the right filters, the right hashtags, the right captions? Back in the day, if I had a sandwich that I wanted to throw on there, I just do up a sandwich. But now it's like, is your sandwich with the filter of color and deeming and the avocados glistening, and it's just so like orchestrated now that people are. It's breaking down the normality of it. It's just breaking down the fact that people are actually just living regular lives, and if they don't have the same life as you, should be okay. But because everyone is just, I'm my own star, and I'm my own superhero, and I'm my own. It's like everyone's trying to be that, and at home they're crushed, or they're crying, or they're depressed, or they're. And so I think that people tend to forget that social media is no longer as fun as it used to be.
Yes.
But I mean, I guess, like I said, I use it as a storefront, to be very honest with you. I don't really post just to post anymore. I post with a reason.
Well, as we wrap up here with you, my friend, what is the best spot to find you online?
Okay, so I have my own website because, as I said, you should make sure you have your own website if you're trying to be a business owner, entrepreneur, or personality, because if Instagram or Facebook or Twitter goes away tomorrow, that's going to be the wrap for you. So
that's it.
You can find me on you can find me on sonakibz.com. That's SANAKIBZ, as well as all social media at sonakibz.
Well, that is amazing, and this has been fun. I appreciate you making time for us today. I definitely want to have you back because you are quite entertaining, and like I said, your background there on Skype is amazing. I think that's great, and I appreciate you making time. Thanks for being with us today. Thank you, Sana.
Thank you so much, thank you so much for having me, and yes, let's do this again soon.
Definitely. Have yourself a wonderful afternoon. Thank you, Sana.
You too.
Appreciate
Bye.
it. There she goes, Sana Kibz, and you know, she's got one of those names where you look at it and you're like, that's exactly how it sounds. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, we have got more on the other side. It is the world famous Jiggy Jaguar Radio.